What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the 1894. I'm Darren. Got Joe here today. We're discussing a bit of transfer news. Again, I know it's November. We don't care. It's been a big week, Joe, hasn't it?
Has.
Been a rather big week, especially when it comes to strikers. No, we're not going to mess about. We're not even going to cut it. We're just going to go straight into here, right? So Ferran Torres, quote Sam Lee, is indeed keen on the move to Barcelona, and we can't be that surprised. All the Spanish boys are really, aren't they, Joe?
It seems to be a common theme with Barcelona seem to be linked with numerous players, non-Spanish and Spanish, but there was Laporte in the summer, there's now Torres, they were linked to Sterling and Mahrez. Seems like they're keen to just rob us, and I know you're the same as me. We're not quite happy with how Pep is dealing with it, with his, being pally-pally with Barcelona, the old Barca boys. We're not a fan of the way he is dealing with it, saying, oh, anybody can go and play for Barcelona. Everybody wants to play for Barcelona. I'm not a fan of the way he's approaching it, basically saying, if they come in, I'm okay letting them go because Barcelona, big club. I'm not a fan of that. But, it is a theme in Spanish players. They want to play for either of the big two, usually. I think Rodri's the only exception here because I don't really think he cares. He plays for Atletico Madrid. What a beast. He played for Atletico Madrid. I imagine he doesn't want to go to Real. He's never been linked to Barca. You'd think that Barca would be in for him because he's, similar mould to Busquets, although probably not as good as Busquets was yet, at least, anyway. But I am not that fussed. I see people freaking out about this on Twitter, going, why would you want to leave and all this? And it'd be disappointing, don't get me wrong, because he will be a world-class player one day. We've seen it in glimpses. But you've got to remember, we paid, 20 million quid, 20 million pounds for this young, unproven Spanish player, and now we're looking at selling him on. And if we sell him on, it won't be for less than 50 million or a player swap. So we're making massive profit from what we paid for him. And if it means that, we'll sign Haaland or a striker, I'm all for it.
Look, I'm going to say this now, right? When the news came out last night, or yesterday, or whatever it was, I was fucking fuming, right? I had a lot of reasons why. This 50 million price tag, right? I don't care if I make a massive profit. I don't think it's enough. He's Spain's number one striker. He's scoring hat-tricks, scoring goals for City. I think he's worth minimum 70 million. And I know we're going to get pushed over. Yeah, pushovers, but dirty pushovers, right? And Pep constantly coming out in the media and saying, oh yeah, anyone play for Barcelona and say that. Now, I love Pep, right? I understand he's got a love for Barcelona. I get that. But you don't say this in the media. You shouldn't be able to say it. Surely someone at the club's going to turn around and say, come on, mate, give it a rest. But it's diminishing our returns on players like Torres, on players like Sterling who wants to go, on players like Mahrez who won't go. But at the end of the day, right, you probably will go. I don't care. I know how good he is. I know how good he'll become. He'll be the best. He'll be one of the best strikers in the world one day. If he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here. Fuck him out. That's how I say it. Get rid of him if he doesn't want to be here. Get a bit of money in and add it to the treasure trove. Because now we're going to go straight into it again, Joe. We're not cutting him, not today. We're going straight into Erling Haaland. Now, Andreas Korsund is a journalist. He came out today and said Man City remain the most likely club to sign Erling Haaland when the 2022 summer clause kicks in of about 75 rising to 90 million pounds, I think it is, John.
It's about 75 million, yeah, which is an absolute steal.
Yeah, look, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of money by him. Haaland is open to a City transfer and has even been heard talking about how much Etihad impresses him. Etihad impresses me with how shit it is and getting people inside it when it comes to tickets and the e-tickets. But let's ignore that, right? Him being in that stadium, I remember the clip came out from Joe before for the quarter-final, didn't it? And he was like, wow, this is pretty nice.
Yeah, look, say what you want about this journalist, how reliable you think he is. I think most people could tell you. I think he's okay, but it obviously helps the fact that I'm pretty sure he is Norwegian himself. So just give him it.
Minimum, yeah, he's Scandinavian. And I tell you what else, right? The fact that he is a Chelsea fan and they're obviously heavily linked to him as well. It's proven, right? And I think he's an open Chelsea fan as well, so the fact that he's saying this, they can only spell out good things, really, can't they?
Yeah, and look, I think most people, if I was to turn around and say, Haaland's most likely destination is City, I think that's pretty evident. Everything lines up perfectly. it's just there's still some doubt because of how big the transfer is, and obviously the release clause, it's absolute peanuts for everyone, and everyone wants him. But as time goes on, you start to get more and more, you start to convince yourself more and more that it is just going to happen. Clubs start, counting themselves out of the race to sign him. And you look at, City have always been thereabouts. You always think, oh, well, there's PSG, they're going to offer him more money. Oh, well, there's Bayern, they're going to offer him more money. Oh, well, there's Man United, they're going to offer him more money. Oh, there's Madrid. Oh, there's Barcelona. Like, Barcelona want Torres now, apparently. They've wanted 7 of our players. So they've got different targets. They can't afford Haaland, although they'll probably find a way.
No, for Barcelona to sign a player, they have to have played for Man City on their CV. So I think we count them out. That and they're skint.
Yeah, and then obviously Madrid are getting Mbappe. And then you look at... I've said this for a while now, and people go, oh, well, he doesn't want to play in the French league. He said he doesn't want to play in the French league. I don't think he does because it's not competitive enough. It's about money. It's about money. Everybody knows who his agent is. It's Mino Raiola. It's about money. They're still our biggest competitors because I guarantee when Mbappe doesn't sign a new contract after they've signed Messi and they've got Neymar and all of these players, when he doesn't sign a new contract and he goes off to Madrid because that's what he really, really wants to do, they'll shit the bed and they'll just throw money up the wall to get anyone in who is as good. There's not many players who are as good as Kylian Mbappe, but Haaland is one of them. So they will just throw money at the problem because that's what they always do. That's what they did in the summer, although all of them didn't really have a transfer fee. I know Hakimi had one, but a lot of them were free transfers. They still threw money in wages and bonuses. That's what PSG do. They're going all out to try and win a Champions League, and they will not stop until they've won it. So he will be on the radar. But again, we've got things working in our favour. We do ourselves have money. We have players who seemingly want to leave or are being, scouted by other clubs. And it's a better league. He wants to come to the Prem. This whole fan thing. He's been in City shirts. He's been a fan. His dad's played here. It all lines up. But there's just something about it where you go, it's quite easy for us to mess this one up because we seem to be hot favourites.
I think PSG are the only realistic rival in signing them, right? Think about it. They'll offer a lot more money. I'm sure Haaland would prefer to live in Paris than he would in Manchester, which is only fair. I'd probably prefer to live in Paris as well. It's arguably a better front three around him. I think you get Sterling firing again. This man, he'd be mopping up goals, Haaland. I think the best move for him is City. He can come out with a fat enough wage packet. You get his Premier League every year. I'm saying it every year. You get a Champions League or two. Next thing you know, he's one of the best players in the world. And this is what it is. At the end of the day, he can... I think a lot of the boys in this channel, Luke included, Joe included, me included, we've all said the striker's the missing piece of the puzzle. He is the man. He is the man of all men to go and get the Champions League. And I know if we get him, it's raps for Europe. But I will say one thing as well. I think this Grealish transfer last year, it's a big... excuse my coarse language, but popping the cherry for City on their big transfer, as in their big transfers. This man could be the follow up, and I don't care if Grealish costs more. This is the man, Jonah.
It is, and without Grealish, I'm pretty sure his release clause would at least be up there for our most expensive transfer ever, because we just never seem to have spent the big money. Although this is a big transfer.
It's spread about 50s, 60s and all that, which is a fucking lot of money if you think about it.
Yeah, which is around what this is, 75, it's sort of in the middle of the range, but he's a £150 million player as it stands right now without the release clause. Easy. That's what, what Dortmund were wanting to, if we were to go in for him in the summer, they wanted 150 million until his release clause kicked in. That was, the rumour, 120 minimum. So we're getting a player for cheaper than his market value. It's a no-brainer. The only downside is with Raiola, his clients, they don't tend to stick around. He tends to, create a little bit of disruption in the media. You see with Pogba all the time. He wants to leave, he wants to stay, he wants to leave, he wants to stay. He signed a contract, he's going at the end of the season, this, that, the other. He's been offered a new one. That is the one thing that we don't really want to get ourselves tangled up into, which will probably happen because that's how Raiola works. But just the thought of him sticking around for even 5 years, the amount of goals he will get, I'm sure he wants to come here because he looks at this and he goes, he's guaranteed to play as soon as he walks in the door. If he was to walk in tomorrow, morning, he'd play against West Ham. Of course he would. He'd walk
100%.
into this team. He'd walk. He knows he's going to start week in, week out because there's no one else that we've got. So it's a no-brainer. The only elephant in the room is he'd probably also play for PSG if they lose Mbappe.
It's not an if they lose Mbappe, by the way. It's a when they lose Mbappe. He is gone. And I don't blame him. It's a shithole league. We went out and played Zinchenko as a striker and still beat them. They're farmers. That's what they did. They tried playing up the fact that we're farmers at the celebration. They're farmers. At the end of the day, we knocked them out. We beat them. I don't care if we beat them in the first leg. We had to beat them out, right? We beat them in that second game. We trashed them. We're all over them. They have the on paper the most talented front three of all time, and they sit back and play terrorism. And at the end of the day, if you're going to be Haaland, you're looking at City and licking your lips. I think that's how we'll end it. Look, at the end of the day, I keep saying at the end of the day, Torres will end up a Barcelona player one way or another, whether it's this summer or 5 years' time. He'll end up back in Spain. Let's not take the piss here. He's no David Silva. He's not loyal. He doesn't play for the badge and the shirt. And at the end, if I say again, I'll probably cry, but we'll get a striker, be it Vlahovic, who I'll be disappointed with, but you're going to be disappointed with anyone that isn't Haaland at this stage. Or we'll get Haaland. And I think we'll end up with Haaland, you know. Joe, scale of 0% to 100%, how confident, bud?
My confidence is growing.
Yeah. Just to be clear, right, me and him were about 0% not happening, I'd say about a month ago.
Yeah, I think after Kane fell through for a good few months, we were both like, no, this isn't happening. We'll end up with Vlahovic or no one. But right now I'm saying 50%, genuinely. I think there's, in the next few months, it could be massive because, again, his boot deal runs out soon, like his sponsorship deal. If he signs with Puma, oh my God, the confidence goes up from there because Puma will help us get this done. So he is in a Puma-sponsored team with a Puma boot. They will help us because the amount of money they will raise is ridiculous.
We hate Puma, and Puma are pulling one out of the bag here. And look, we'll end it there, right? It's only a show. I say it's short, probably be about 10 minutes, something like that. But you let us know down there. Do you want Vlahovic? Do you want Haaland? Do you want Kane? I don't think anyone wants that fucking soggy fucking ginger biscuit at this side. But we'll get what I think we're getting one of the three of those. I don't think there's anyone else on the table. I think we'll end up with Haaland personally. I'm not 100% confident, but I'm confident we'll end up with him. And then imagine this, right? An informed Sterling, Haaland, Foden. Right, come on, we'll leave you at that one, right? Let us know below who you want. Share it, like it around. I think we have 550. It keeps dropping, but bring it back up. Go on. See you after. See you after the West Ham match. How good.